I was 15 years old, home alone, watching my 2 younger brothers and little sister. My parents had left town overnight. Everything was normal until someone started banging on the back door. I looked outside. One man standing there. Then I looked at the kitchen window. 2 more men, all wearing black hoodies. My heart dropped. I turned off every light in the house and told my siblings to run upstairs. As we reached the stairs, someone started pounding on the front door. There were 4 of them. We hid inside my bedroom wardrobe, trying not to make a sound. Then we heard it. Footsteps coming upstairs. Slow, heavy, getting closer. One of them yelled, "We know you're in here." My younger siblings started crying. I knew if we stayed there, we were trapped. I had lived in that house my whole life. I knew exactly which floorboards creaked and which ones didn't. I whispered for everyone, "Step where I step." We moved downstairs quietly, 1 step at a time. We reached the front door. I grabbed the handle and pulled it open. The door slammed against the wall. Bang! The whole house went silent. I turned around and saw one of the men at the top of the stairs. He pointed at us and screamed. We ran out the front door into the night. I grabbed my brother's hand and told the others not to stop. As we sprinted toward our neighbor's house, I looked back. All 4 men were chasing us. We barely made it inside before the neighbor locked the door and called police. When officers searched the area, the men were gone. It happened early one morning when a woman knocked on my front door. She looked panicked, holding her stomach, barely able to stand. She said her car was outside, and she desperately needed to use the bathroom. I knew something felt wrong. I should have kept the door closed, but I let her in. She rushed straight to the bathroom and shut the door. I stood there, already regretting it. Then I heard noises inside. Drawers opening, things moving. She wasn't sick, she was searching. A minute later, she came out and asked for a glass of water. My heart was racing, but I tried to stay calm. I told her I'd feel better if she just left. That's when her face changed. She got angry. "Why are you treating me like this? What? You think I'm here to steal from you?" Then she grabbed my wallet. I reached for it and froze. In her other hand was a bloodied syringe. I stepped back, trying not to panic. She moved toward the kitchen and reached for a knife. That's when I acted. I grabbed my wallet, I knocked the syringe away, then I pushed her back. She had also taken my keys. I reached for them, but grabbed hers instead, so I made a trade. My keys for hers. She agreed. I told her to open the back door and go outside. When she stepped through, I handed her the syringe, pushed her out, and slammed the gate shut. Then I locked every door in the house. She stood there for a moment, then walked away. I called police immediately. They collected fingerprints and took my statement. But what bothered me most was that I knew from the second I opened the door something was wrong, and I let her in anyway. Last summer, my parents left town for a trip to Canada. They told me I had to stay home alone for the week. Honestly, I didn't mind. I spent my days relaxing, watching TV, playing video games, and hanging out with friends. Then one night, everything changed. I came home late after being out with a friend. Before going inside, I stood at the end of the driveway, smoking a cigarette. That's when I noticed it. Several lights were on upstairs. I froze. I knew I had turned every light off before leaving. Then I looked closer. Inside my parents' bedroom window, I saw a shadow moving. Someone was inside my house. My heart started pounding. I backed away and called 911. The operator told me to stay calm and wait outside. So I stood there, watching the window. Then the shadow stopped. A moment later, I saw a man step into view. He stood in the bedroom, staring directly at me. Police arrived within minutes. I pointed at the window. One officer saw him too. 2 armed officers rushed inside. I called my parents, shaking so badly I could barely speak. A few minutes later, the front door opened. Police walked out with a man in handcuffs. He was dressed in black and glaring at me the whole time. I was too terrified to sleep there that night, so I stayed at a friend's house. Later, I learned what police found on him: a crowbar, rope, and a knife. Sometimes I still think about what would have happened if I had walked straight into that house. Years ago, I rented a room in a house near a university town. I found the place on Craigslist. 2 roommates already lived there. At first, everything seemed normal. Then one morning, I went for a run. When I got back, I jumped straight into the shower. A few minutes later, I heard loud banging at the front door. I assumed it was one of my roommates having friends over, so I ignored it. But the banging didn't stop. It got louder, more violent. Then I heard a crash. The front door had been kicked in. I rushed to dry off. Before I could even get dressed, my bathroom door opened. A man I had never seen before was standing there. He looked me up and down without saying a word. I froze. Then I asked, "Who are you?" He didn't answer. Instead, another man slowly peeked around the hallway corner. The first man stepped closer. "Get on the ground," I said no. He slapped me hard across the face, then said, "Do you want to die?" Time slowed down. I had never been hit before. I didn't know what to do. My phone was in my bedroom. My only thought was, get out of the bathroom. Then, everything became chaos. I started screaming. My roommates ran from their rooms. The man had grabbed me from behind, around my waist. But when he saw them, he let go. He started yelling about money, demanding they give it back. My roommates said they had no idea what he meant. Then both men ran out the front door. I collapsed to the floor, crying uncontrollably. Police arrived soon after. They took fingerprints, DNA, and my statement. They also told me something I'll never forget. It was the 50th home invasion that day, and it wasn't even noon.